Joining us now with reaction from Washington, Mark Dubowitz, the executive director for the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. And here in the studio, counterterrorism analyst and Fox News contributor Lisa Daftari. So, Lisa, Clapper says it's been the worst year ever. Kerry thinks it's no big deal. Who do you trust, the head of national intel or a guy who cries while James Taylor serenades the French?
You know who I do believe? I believe ISIS. I believe ISIS when they tell us that they're serious about the creation of an Islamic state. You know who else we should believe? The headlines, the intel, our eyes. When we're looking at the Islamic State go about creating this state, doubling their land despite the 800 coalition strikes, going after the wholesale genocide of Christians. I mean, one by one, we're watching the headlines. We're watching as day by day the situation is getting worse, and then the talking points from the White House podium are now conflicting. I mean, we have no time to wait around for these contradictions and to go at this with a tweezer at the linguistics of what we should call it, what we shouldn't call it. Are they Islamic? Are they not Islamic? You know what the bottom line is? You know who is an Islamic state? Jordan. You know who else is an Islamic state? Egypt. And they retaliated without flinching because it was a national security issue for both of them. Their nationals were killed. They went after them.
You know, Mark, it's not just ISIS. We had two Islamic fundamentalists in Bangladesh hacked to death. They hacked to death an American writer yesterday. I think his name is Avijit Roy, who was an atheist. Is that just another random act of non-kindness?
Well, again, it's not just ISIS. I mean, I think Lisa's right. It's about radical Islam. It's about global radical Islam. It's about the fact that the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria and, for example, the Islamic State of Iran are two sides of the jihadist coin. There's a terrible, bloody sectarian war taking place in the Middle East. It's spreading globally. And young people are being recruited from our cities, from Europe and elsewhere, to go fight for ISIS, to go fight on behalf of the Revolutionary Guards and Hezbollah. And it is creating a very dangerous situation for the United States and for our national security.
Yeah, Lisa, we've seen recently the destruction of antiquities and library books in Mosul. I guess you can't convert a statue to Islam, so you destroy it. What's the purpose of this? It's almost, to me, I look at it as this is their post-game celebration. You know, this is what you do after you get there. What else do? You can't build anything, so you destroy it?
This is a very tragic moment because a lot of them are nationals of Iraq and of Syria. But what they're really doing is effectively trying to erase any type of history. I mean, they're not just targeting, Jews or Christians. They're going after anybody who won't fold and follow under their brand of Islam, that will eventually lead to a caliphate. So here we see them, targeting cultural artifacts that are so just a part of the tapestry of the region, going after Yazidis and Christians and Kurds, people who are, again, part of the patchwork of these areas. It's really, they are rewriting history, and we're watching as this is happening.
Yeah, they're not rewriting it, they're eliminating history.
They're eliminating history.
Yeah.
And you know what, we look back at the Holocaust and we say, how was it that people 60, 70 years ago stood back and allowed this to happen? And here we are in the year 2015, and we're doing the same thing.
Yeah, Mark, this is an interest. I mean, Kerry could be right about in terms of numbers, but it seems like he's guilty of what I call ocean privilege. We're separated by thousands and thousands of miles of water, so it's not that immediate to us. It's so far away, maybe we see it on the web, but that's it.
Well, it should be immediate to us. I mean, 9/11 was a wake-up call for us. The fact is that ISIS is a manifestation, again, of radical Islam. It is a further iteration of al-Qaeda. And the problem is that the President and Secretary Kerry have a credibility gap. I mean, the President himself said that ISIS is the junior varsity team, that al-Qaeda was on the run, that we had stabilized Iraq, that Libya was going to be an easy adventure to get rid of Gaddafi. And the problem is, in all of these countries, we are seeing chaos. You're seeing the growth of radical Islam. All the while, the administration is now negotiating a nuclear agreement with another radical Islamist state in Iran and assuring us that we're going to have a nuclear agreement that will stop Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. The problem, of course, is that when you combine radical Islam, terrorist organizations like ISIS, and the possibility of proliferation in the Middle East with multiple Middle East countries on a nuclear hair trigger, it becomes a serious threat, and oceans are not going to protect us.
Lisa, one last question. I think President Obama worries about overshooting this apocalyptic threat, of exaggerating it. But the worst part of that is you prepare. You over-prepare. It's like complaining that you worked out too hard. I mean, what is the problem of being too careful?
I mean, I think what he's trying to really do is put this through rosy glasses, and I think the American people are waking up to it. I think people look at the news and they look at headlines, and when it's contained to Syria and Iraq, it's not part of our daily life. But now it's here, it's affecting us.
Yeah. All right, Lisa, thank you. Mark, thanks.